Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated. Please turn your cell phones off or to vibrate so we can't hear them. All right, this is the time for public comments. Council may ask questions, but may take no action during public comment during this meeting, except to direct staff to prepare a report or place it on a future agenda. If you're here to make comments on a specific agenda item, you may speak so at that time. If not this time, then if not, this is the time. Please limit your remarks to 5 minutes. Speakers, please speak from the podium. State your name and mailing address so that staff can respond to you regarding your comment or provide you with information if appropriate. You are not required to state your name and address if you do not desire to do so. Anybody have some public comments? Since you're here, come on, don't be something. All right, well then we will go to number one. Discussion possible action consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion unless a member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion or a member of the audience wishes to comment on them. The city manager recommends approval of the following consent calendar items. A, approval ratification of payments issued from October 4th to October 17th, 2019. B, approval of minutes of the meeting held October 3rd, 2019. What's the wishes of the council?
I will move that we approve the consent calendar as it's listed here.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, first and second. Any opposed?
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Anybody opposed? Nope. Motion carries it. Number two, discussion possible action. Approve a reallocation of $375,000 from wastewater capital to the water capital. Appropriate $50,000 from stormwater and appropriate $50,000 from water capital to purchase a new combination vacuum truck and storage building. I would assume this one is Matt.
Ben's.
Yes, correct.
Ben's name is on there, young man.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and members of council. As you may recall, I spoke to this at the workshop last week, and I'll go back over it again. We do have Benjamin Miller, our maintenance and operations manager, in attendance tonight. If there are any pertinent questions that we'd like to pose to him.
Great.
As we discussed last week, this is a reallocation from the wastewater capital to the water capital for the replacement vacuum combination truck. And then Ben, with the homework he's done, I'm comfortable with his numbers that an appropriation of $50,000 and for the stormwater and 50 from the water capital for the storage building, and it'll cover the entire project. So in essence, it gets us the new water truck, the new combination truck, which is in the budget. Of course, there's some additional funding there that we spoke to last week, where the prices have escalated since we got the quote on the build, since it is a custom truck built to suit exactly our needs, no more than that. The heated building was the second item of that. So if there are any questions of council or you have, Ben is here and he could come up if needed.
Did we do any more research on the building part of it, or we're still good on that?
We were good on the building.
On
Ben,
the
if you'd like to come up to the podium for a moment,
Yeah, it
please.
was.
Yeah, we did the
building's
50,000.
still where it's at the workshop.
Okay. So when it comes to that point, we'll probably have another discussion on like how we're gonna do the erection of it, as far as, we discussed before, staff versus hiring out probably.
Correct, as I spoke to the efficiency losses of having our internal staff do construction work.
Right.
And then there's also an amount that we cannot go over to where we're legally bound by government code to put it out to bid.
Yeah.
So more like 99.9% sure it's gonna go that way.
Yeah, which would probably be better, so we don't really need our.
You sure it's gonna
staff
go out, you're gonna go out to bid?
Correct.
Okay, and what is the amount?
Threshold amount, yeah.
The total amount was a not to exceed, I believe, let me look it back up.
For the
Building
state,
or
that
the-
requires
for
it
the
to go out
build,
to bid.
right, it was a not to exceed 50.
For the erection? No, just for the erection? Oh, okay.
For the entire.
Purchase of the kit,
Yeah, yeah.
pour of the concrete and the erection.
Norm has a
Correct.
question?
Yeah,
No?
Yes, sir.
question to Ben. How much are we spending on the repairs on the old truck? Because that's what we're trying to replace, the old truck. I just wondered.
Well, not really repair, or not
Well,
replacing
we've
the old
been-
truck, we're
we've
keeping
been
the
re-
old truck.
We've been repairing it, so how
Yeah.
much have we been spending on repairs on
I
it?
don't have an exact dollar amount for you on that, Norm. It's been in the shop a lot, and then, so what I failed to mention during the workshop was, we did look at selling the old truck, and it was, kind of the year, I believe I'm thinking it's a 2010, and it's kind of a prototype model. If it was 1 year newer, we would have got almost double the amount for the truck.
Oh, wow.
So it's like just not the year of truck to own, but we've been getting by with it. And then the secondary fact is that we're utilizing the existing truck for water, sewer, and storm drains. And we have to disinfect it in between water and sewer operations, which is a huge cost and a huge amount of time.
Oh.
And so by having a new truck allocated directly to water, we're not gonna have to disinfect the old truck to go, like, especially on emergency leaks on Fall Creek. It's just not good to have one truck
Yeah.
performing all of those functions, so we have multiple benefits.
Well, that makes sense, yeah, because you didn't mention that at the workshop, did you, about
I
the
did
disinfection
not, I've
of
been
it?
thinking about it since
Yeah,
the
well, that
workshop,
definitely-
that we are using that one truck for all purposes, and to have one truck directly for water and one truck for sewer, where
That's-
we're not cross-contaminating, not having the risk and the time to decontaminate. I know I'm not directly answering your question on the cost in the shop, but there's more beyond that.
Right.
So how much longer do you think will the old truck will last being repaired?
As just jetting sewers, I really think we could get 5 to 10 years out
Oh.
of that truck.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's good.
That's
I really
worth
do.
it then.
Yeah.
I mean, and there could be a miscalculation, just an unknown factor, but
How many miles does it have on it?
the miles are hardly any
I don't
because
think
it
it's the
sits.
mileage, is it?
Right.
So the old truck, it was, part of the reason why the resale value on it's so low is it runs off a diesel particulate filter
Uh-huh.
instead of the newer vehicles run off a
Right.
diesel, what is it, a DEF, diesel. emission
Diesel
fluid.
exhaust fluid.
Yep.
Diesel exhaust fluid, which is much, much better. So the nature of the truck where it doesn't drive far and it sits and idles, it's just really hard for it to idle at high RPMs and function, just sitting there, and then the exhaust plugs up, and then that's been the biggest problem with the truck and why the resale value is so low.
So the main motor, this particular vehicle has 2 motors on it, the drive motor and then what we call the pony motor. And so in full operations of running all 3 utilities with it, there's a greater load on the main motor, which loads that DPF, the diesel particulate filter, up because it sits and runs so hard, so long. In this setup, we actually are utilizing the rear motor more, and it's a really solid Deutz diesel engine that'll run for ages, 50 years or more. That the front engine was actually part of a massive class action lawsuit brought against International. It was the Max Force diesel that they came out with that year, and that we had our attorney look into that, and because we only had the one truck, it wasn't really worth the time to chase that
okay.
class action lawsuit. There were fleets of trucks, huge companies that got a little bit of their money back out of it, but it was just a lemon of a motor. And they proved that International knew it when it went out, so there
No
wasn't a
kidding.
lawsuit though.
Wow.
But in this configuration, running primarily off of the pony
Right.
motor, it's got a Deutz on it, the thing will run forever, so.
And the new truck
drive
will-
motor just takes it from place to place.
And the brand new truck that we spec'd is a single engine, Cummins single engine that runs both, which our fleet manager loves. To not have 2 motors to work
To work
with,
on.
and then the space and the accessibility of working on it will be much, much easier.
Oh, yeah.
It has a giant bank of Zerk fittings where you can grease every
Grease.
part from down low, like at perfect level, instead of climbing up over all the booms.
Speaking to a guy that used to grease log trucks in their high school years, yes, I did that for a number of years, and yeah, greasing is one of those things you don't like to do. That's not fun.
So Councilman Shasky, to directly answer your initial question, we don't have that exact number in front of us this evening. We could provide that to you if you'd like. I can tell you it was a considerable amount of money over the 10 years that we've owned the truck. The diesel particulate filters themselves run about $8,000 to $10,000 to replace. When they plug up, they get to a point. Sometimes we can send them up to Medford and get them burnt out in an oven, and sometimes
So,
not.
so like once a year you've got to do that? Or
We've got it under control now, knowing after the lawsuit and knowing that motor is prone to do that. So, but the maintenance costs were, I would say, extremely high on that truck up until now. So those would lessen in this scenario.
Now, it's gonna take some lead time to get this truck in service. How long is that gonna be before you get it in
It's
service?
a 6 to 8 month build.
I had 5, I believe it's 5 months.
Okay.
And then to in service, you're probably very close with your 6 months.
Right.
So probably sometime next spring then.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be
That'll
timely
be
for
good.
us coming into the construction season, back when we're getting back into the ground and performing maintenance.
That'll be good. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, so you're saying that the '09 does not have the burner to burn out the particulate matter, is that what you're saying? I mean, the new, I know I had to get rid of my delivery truck and had to spend another $50,000 to get a new one so that I could burn out I had to have that little 2,000 degree burner underneath, and it comes on about every, I don't know, how many miles. And that '09 does not have that, correct?
It's a different system.
So that's why you send it
It's an
up.
external
Yeah.
system. It's
So-
similar to when we released our old sweeper 2 or 3 years ago off to auction, because it had a external DPF filter, and it was loading up and costing us $10,000 to $12,000 every time it loaded up. So-
Yeah,
Right, the newer ones, it's taken care of with the DEF.
yeah, because mine would go off probably about every 6 weeks, it would burn, and I'd have to let it go. I'd have to let the thing run for an hour. while it burns. The one thing to be aware of as you're looking is that Cal EPA has found that DEF, diesel exhaust fluid, releases more particulate matter than the old diesel did. And just like the United States government just allowed incandescent bulbs back to be sold in the country just about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, they did?
Yes,
I
yeah,
didn't hear about
yeah.
that.
The president signed an executive order.
Wow.
The California is, I don't know if they'll change it quickly, but they are looking at what they need to do, because DEF is releasing more particulate matter. I think there'll come a change within 3 to 5 years.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
You know, they didn't do their homework,
Yeah, which doesn't
but they put a
surprise
lot of
me.
us under a lot of strain.
Yes.
Doesn't surprise me at all on everything else. You look back
Yeah.
on all the smog laws that they passed, like back in the '80s and stuff, and it was a joke back
Yeah,
then.
it's not gonna change anything. I don't think I think they'll give you 10 or 12 years to use it, just like they did, you know, with my truck. I could go 10 years, I think, on it, and then they told me I had to buy a new one. They would,
that's too bad, because from my experience with equipment, that the DEF is working better than at least the archaic.
then the low sulfur.
The particulate filters on their own.
Mm.
That's the equipment that we've had the most problems with.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do I hear anybody put forth a motion?
Oh, I'll put forth a motion to approve a reallocation of $375,000 from wastewater capital to the water capital. Do we do this as 3 motions, or can we do it as one?
You can do it as one.
Appropriate $50,000 from stormwater and appropriate $50,000 from water capital to purchase a new combination vacuum truck and storage building.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried then.
Thank you, Ben.
Do we want to let staff go now, or the?
No, they've got the next two.
I thought they were
so-
gonna say we had still the next
You
two.
might want to let them present it as one.
Okay, so on this next 2 items, we'd like to present it as one on this, so 3 and 4. I'll read through it. Discussion possible action, adopt a resolution authorizing the city to apply for funds to the state of California, enter into a funding agreement and designate representatives to sign a drinking water state revolving fund and any other amendments thereto for the East Lenox Street water line replacement and WTP filter improvement project. And 4, discuss possible action, adopt a resolution authorizing the city to apply for funds to the state of California, enter into a funding agreement to designate representative to sign a drinking water state revolving fund and any amendments thereto to water supply and storage improvements project. Is this one Matt too?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, and Council, I'm gonna hand this over to City Lynch.
All right, great, Cindy.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, these two resolutions are essentially pro forma resolutions to the Water Board, allowing us to apply for these funds. As you know, in March of 2016, we applied for planning and construction water grants to the state of California. And we received a water planning grant, and council also approved some funds for us to continue with some other water projects on the understanding that we would, once we received construction funding, that a lot of those funds could be reimbursed. And as I said, these are essentially the next step. We are very close to getting these construction applications through the process and approved. They're $5 million apiece, and PACE has been working on them, and we're very, very close. But again, they really want these resolutions as quickly as possible so that we can get through the process and get moving. And this is a mouthful, but as I said, this is the format they'd like us to submit them in, with the name of the project in each resolution and separate. So these are submitted for your approval, and if you have any questions, please ask.
Anybody got some questions for Cindy?
Always here in the beginning, so no.
So when do you anticipate the grants being awarded?
It's difficult to say when the final paperwork will be signed. They're talking about the first quarter of next year. But even if we continue to do the work, even if the contracts aren't signed immediately, we can be reimbursed up to the beginning of when we started the work.
Oh.
So it's just, they're aware that this process is taking a very long time, and they've been working very hard with us and with PACE. And their standard has been to go ahead and backdate the beginning so that we can get reimbursed for everything.
Well, that's good.
So the council have to take another further action to accept the grants?
I believe we will,
when those come
yes.
out? Yeah.
Yeah, we would.
But it does allow us to move forward. So,
I think it's something we obviously need to do, so pretty self-explanatory on that part. Anybody else have any questions or to add to it?
No, thank you.
Nobody?
Well, I'll make a resolution that we adopt number 3. We adopt a resolution authorizing the city to apply for funds to the state of California, enter into a funding agreement, and designate representatives to sign a drinking water state revolving fund and any amendments thereto for the East Lenox Street water line replacement and the WTP filter improvements project.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any opposed? Say aye.
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 Any opposed, I should say aye now.
Speak now for whole
Yeah,
case.
we're good there. Okay, number 4, anybody want to make a motion on that one?
Norm did great, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You got it, Norm.
He's like, really?
You're on a roll, man.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve number 4, adopt a resolution authorizing the city to apply for funds to the state of California, enter into a funding agreement, and designate representatives to sign a drinking water state revolving fund and any amendments thereto for the water supply and storage improvements project.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries again. Awesome, thank you, Cindy, appreciate that. Quick and sweet on this one. So that you guys go and have fun, I guess. huh?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're gonna have a lot
We'll
of
bring
fun.
the big hooray one back to you when we just say yes, we'll ask for permission to take hold of the money.
Mr. Mayor, do you know on this
Yes,
special council meeting, will the chamber be here to discuss issues with us?
that I haven't been told, but I would assume.
From my understanding, that was
That's,
the,
okay.
that's the whole.
That was the whole thing, yeah.
And I
Okay.
spoke with Nancy today, and she did plan on, she called me today and said she doesn't.
They'll be
plan-
prepared to share figures and things like that? So we-
She was asking me what we want from them, so it's not clear what Steve was asking for. So somebody should probably contact them. I don't feel
Clarify
like it should be
things.
me, it should be the mayor or Steve
Yeah.
regarding what they need to supply us. I would like to see something, budget.
Mhm.
Something in lines of that, yeah, because.
Well, the preliminary and then the
Membership.
secondary and what the changes were and membership and,
Yeah, profit loss.
what their position control is. I mean, they only have 2 employees, but, you know, where's that money going?
24th, so that's next
Next
Thursday.
Thursday.
Next Thursday, 4
Thursday.
o'clock.
So, yeah, I don't know, when Steve's gonna be back this weekend, right? So he'll be back in the office Monday.
And he's already met with them.
Oh, he has?
After our last meeting, yeah.
Oh, so he might already worked out something with them as far as knowing that they need to bring some stuff to the table.
But you talked to them
Not
today, you
according to
said.
today.
Not to-
Nancy didn't know what
I
the,
think they still weren't sure. Steve told them, basically, you guys need to tell us what you want to do.
Yeah.
So they-
okay,
they-
but Paul mentioned at the last meeting that he'd like to see some numbers.
Yeah.
I wanna see the
Yes.
background on
And so
why we
that's
got to
part
it.
of-
How did we get to a point where we spent all of our money?
Yeah, that's the thing, that's
You know,
pretty
that's,
crazy.
I don't know. That's just me. I just don't see a lot
No. no,
for the
no.
money at this point in time, and it looks, again, speaking only from what I've been told from different sources within this room, not, during the last meeting, it seems the city puts up 75% of their budget. So I
That's
think,
what Thursday, yeah.
I think they owe it, we need to understand, we just need to understand where it's going,
Right.
probably, so
Right.
that we can be better informed to make decisions.
I agree, yeah, especially when there hasn't been this issue in the past, and now all of a sudden it's a huge issue. Of 1 year's or 2 years' time, all of a
Yeah.
sudden everything's imploded, so
Yeah.
that's kind of
And
interesting.
I'm not, don't want to point blame, that's, I don't
No,
want to finger
no,
anybody,
no,
that's
no.
not, we're not gonna finger past people,
No,
or,
there's-
we just need to see where we're going.
If we
Yeah.
don't recognize and clarify where the problem was, how do you correct it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
a little clarity there. But I have to tell everyone, I did stop by and see Susan 2 days ago, and I requested that she make a packet for me to pick
Oh.
up tomorrow morning. So I can share, I can make some copies and stuff.
Oh, good.
Or you guys can call yourself and tell her to make you some too.
Maybe
Is
you
that-
could email us if it's not too extensive.
Who, me?
Well, someone from the city.
Email?
She's like, me?
Email a copy, you silly man. I'll make sure you get the information.
Yeah,
She'll
maybe a
figure it
little-
out.
A little
She'll-
bit of background
she'll-
information would help for the meeting.
She'll bring it to my office so I can email it.
Alice.
Send it to your office so Debbie can go through and do it.
No, Alice will do it.
Alice.
Alice, okay.
Yes.
I have a question, regarding the chamber. Yeah, I don't know how many of you go in there a lot. I go in there a lot. There's one employee that I see every single day working there, and the only employee and the one that
That's
we're
Susan,
gonna
yeah.
get rid of. This is not okay.
No, that's one of our complaints too, is that there's not
understand it, yeah.
a presence there that should be, correct, yeah. And this has gotten worse and worse, unfortunately, so hopefully we can address this and get some stuff figured out, because something's gotta change, because they're not doing too good, so. Anyways, we want to councilman comments. Norm, why don't you start off?
Any staff reports?
Any
for
staff
us?
reports? I think they pretty much summed up everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
we-
good.
We were in session
No,
when
not
I,
today.
when I let the mayor know.
Sorry.
I will be on the road again, headed down to Reading this next week, the beginning of the week, to meet with Caltrans District 2 Engineering regarding the Yreka rehab project and the staging of that project, and the impact to the business owners of that project. And again, talking some more at length with the infrastructure issues. So there is some positive news on the horizon along that $12 million infrastructure hurdle that we've been working on with Caltrans. And hopefully after that meeting, I'll be able to share some better news.
Yeah.
So, just let you know that I'll be down there representing the city.
Thanks for
again,
doing that,
so.
going down there, because it's, like you said, it's gonna be a huge issue for Yreka. Like we were talking earlier about what the impacts was back in, I think it was 94 we discussed. I think it was 1994 we had the last one. I don't know if you remember, Liz, but yeah, I mean, I was working at auto parts and it was quite the fiasco to try to do business on Main Street. So.
And that was nothing compared to this.
No, this is gonna be
Yes.
way bigger, way bigger.
Yeah, and it's really worked well, in line with Mayor Freeman's, if you're not at the table, saying you're on the menu thing, so, we're at the table.
Yeah.
and
Yep,
We're
exactly.
doing all right thus far. so.
That is one of the determining factors why I chose not to rent on Main Street to Broadway. I didn't want to deal with that.
For 2 years.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or go back.
Possibly more.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know,
Yeah.
because back when that happened, back in the 90s, it was just that summer, if I
Yeah.
remember right. I don't think it was any more than that.
It
just
wasn't
one-
near as big as what they're looking at doing now.
No,
Yeah, 'cause
no, not at
yeah.
all. I mean, they took it down in some sections all the way down to dirt. I remember that was one of the jokes we were talking about, that if they found any gold when they were digging up. In fact, I think they did
Did.
find something, if I remember
It's
right,
on the
yeah.
front page of the newspaper,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so that was quite interesting.
It's
It'd
kinda
be interesting
fun.
to see what they really dig up now. Well, what they're gonna dig up and what we're gonna have to deal with too, hopefully not a lot,
Yeah.
so. Anybody else on the staff reports? Cindy?
You know, nothing springs to mind, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Loretta?
just want to hand everybody out Superman capes this week because everybody's really been working hard
Yeah.
in solving, moving forward staff-wise. It's a privilege to work with them.
Oh, good.
Right on. Liz?
Is anybody else stuck with Willie Nelson in your head from On the Road?
No kidding.
That was just cruel.
Okay, Norm now.
Well, I was just reading in the lead publication today, we had our sexual harassment training a week or two ago.
Yep.
But it was also said we're supposed to have refresher training every 2 years in ethics.
Yes.
And we haven't had that, so
That's supposed to
They're
be
the ones
ourselves,
that-
that's supposed to be on us.
Yeah, they're the ones that will be
Online.
assigned from Renee in our office with the Target Solutions. That's how we've been doing it the past few years.
So she's gonna get a hold of us and let us know the next time they're gonna do that, so
Yeah.
we can comply with the state
Yes,
law.
and we've been doing that for years. You were fortunate enough to hit the
big one.
conferences and got
Right.
yours there. But
Right.
the ones that haven't been going to conferences, they've been doing this training online, so
Okay.
you lucked out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, hit it at a good time.
Okay.
And sometimes, like with mine, the reason I wasn't there is because my one from the credit union,
Yes.
Oh,
I brought my certificate in and she goes, oh, no, this is good. And I said, oh, okay.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd say want to comment too on that, the harassment training, that was actually educational. There's a lot to it that you don't think about, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess that would pertain to every day. It's like, oh, my big thing is my wife works at my office now too, so it's whole new dynamics. How does that work with the whole sexual harassment thing? Debbie, let's go.
I did run into Willow at Greenhorn Park walking the brand new baby. So
Oh, right
I-
on.
I got to see him. He's gorgeous, of course. And she was thrilled to see the new sign up.
Good.
Absolutely thrilled. And everything looks great there. I get lots and lots of compliments on the park host. So
Yes, yes.
that's a relief, and everybody just feels better having a presence there. So that includes me too. Eventually, somebody will find my broken body on the trail if I need it, you know? Because I can't depend on Bella.
No.
So,
No.
let's see, there was a couple other things. Okay, city, Collier Rest Stop, they'd hate it if I said that out. Collier Interpretive and Information Center board meeting is next week at Black Bear, if anybody's thrilled to go.
Yes.
Because we rotated all over, and this time it's close, so.
It's this time I'm going.
What
Are you
day?
gonna go?
Finally.
Oh, good.
What day and time?
Tuesday.
At 6 o'clock. And
Is that
I
it?
think that's it.
I'm
think
sure
so.
there was something else.
Probably, but that's
And you'll
okay.
remember about the time you get your vehicle.
Yeah, I should write these
I
things
know.
down.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, man, I need to write this down. Okay, Paul.
I just want to say that the foundation for the homeless shelter is in, that they're ready. I think all they have to do now is they have to back it in now, and then they'll finish the end, and that looks good. And I'll continue to, harp about it for, not just for us, but for the community, that if anybody wants to give money to Beacon of Hope for the homeless shelter, or to help defray costs on that, they can do that. It is tax deductible, and you can give $20 or $30 if that's, or $100 or whatever you want to do. So
They started construction?
Yeah, they got the
the foundation
foundation's in.
is
They actually started
it's
building-
done except for one side because they have to back in. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then they'll just back it in, and then they'll start construction on the inside.
Inside,
Yeah,
right.
I see they got a wall up too or something. They sent me pictures of all what they've done. I've
Is-
seen some type of wall that they put up.
all I saw was the foundation's about that high.
Yeah, I got that picture and a
Okay.
video of them doing that, and then I got a video of them. There's a wall that went up or something in the
Cool.
back or something. I don't know.
I'll
what
have to
it was.
look. I
Yeah.
didn't. Truck stop, the ridge beam I noticed is in, and they had poured all of the pump standards. I mean, those things look like they're taking 4 or 5 yards. They're about 6 feet across, and and then let's see, what else did I do? Oh, the bricks look nice at Minor Street. Where they're doing the work, where the sign is.
Oh yeah.
They're doing a really nice job out there. So I want to.
The Coca-Cola sign, is that what you're talking about?
No,
Bricks were-
the bricks. There's a brick. There are brick coping around the Minor and the Mule and where the
and,
sign is.
Entrance to the city.
Center
At the-
entrance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
center.
it's coming along. It looks nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody that was it Steve and
Steve Radford
Steve
has
Radford
spearheaded
and somebody
that,
took an
right?
interest in it. It's wonderful. And I,
Came to council a year or two ago and asked for.
yeah,
information
but I appreciate
about it.
Steve. I appreciate what he did. I think
We
it's
do too.
I think it's a great
It's
deal.
beautiful work.
And then it looks like when I go up and down the highway, it looks like the guys are doing a good quick job of figuring out where everything is when they cut their the guys from not Badger but it's
Myers and Badger.
Myers, yeah, Myers
yeah.
Engineering.
It is
So
Myers
yeah,
and Badger.
so
Yeah, the only thing I can complain about that is when they were doing down there at the bottom of my street, Ranch Lane there, they didn't have it marked, and so people were trying to leave from like the park and college and all that there.
Recycling and all that,
And
yeah.
no recycling, they were going down there and then they didn't have it marked that there wasn't, they couldn't get through, so then they had to turn around down there
Backtrack.
back.
Yes.
The next day they did have a sign then, because I think they must have a few complaints on that.
I'm sure the Caltrans encroachment permit inspector got on them about that.
Yeah, it was not good. They're like, everybody's like, I watched them. I went home, that one day I went home for lunch. I was like, I never go home for lunch. I watched them, we're like, oh man, this is not good. We're gonna hear complaints about this. It's like, they turn around and come back. I'm like, oh man. But yeah, that has been, at least that's the way they're getting it situated finally. Anything else?
no, nice to see all that stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna add much, because I was gonna say about the shelter on that. We are having a homeless coalition meeting on Halloween, believe it or not, the
October.
31st. Yes, so dress appropriately if you wanna come, in full costume if you want.
Where is it?
It will be, I think we're having it at, I gotta look it up, but I think it is over at Behavioral Health.
You can tell me later.
Yeah, I got it. I
Okay,
can bring it up.
you
It's-
can let me. You can just text me.
it's, we got that one. We have a couple other meetings that are gonna be big for some funding too, that I'm gonna go on here in the next few weeks. It's gonna be big for funding
Has
situations.
any plans been made for homeless shelter for this winter, for the cold?
No, they haven't. They
Nothing's-
haven't. As far as I know, they haven't heard of anything recently, but like I said, we haven't had our meeting too, so we'll find out here on October. We'll find out what's going on the 31st, we'll find out. Not sure, as of right now, we haven't heard of anything. They were hoping to try to get everything done, have the shelter built, but
Yeah.
I don't see that.
Not until spring.
Not till spring,
no.
yeah, there's too much involved, there's too much money. And then I'm adding on to that, if there's anybody that has any skills, or of anybody that has skills
Donate it.
that could, donate their time towards that, they're definitely looking for.
Plumbing, electrical, framing, leveling. I mean, everything.
Yeah, everything, they need
Anything.
everything, yeah, so.
So who's the head of the project now?
I don't know, I would say talk to Michelle O'Gorman probably for
Yeah,
now.
I haven't contacted them recently, so I'm not sure who's actually heading up the project. I've talked to some individuals, I can tell you.
It's not Rob and Tom, I know that.
No.
They just said, well, talk to Michelle. I go, okay.
Yeah, no, there's actually one
Pat
of the.
Kagi,
Huh?
Pat Kagi?
No, I can bring it up here in a
I
minute.
know she's.
Could
on
be
their board.
Langford. Don Langford is now on the board, but
Yeah, but it
he didn't
was-
want to take a lead role yet. He wanted to wait about
There
18
was
months.
someone that was in, one of the other people were involved in the, construction part of it. I got that somewhere here. And then, so just different parts, they haven't really, I don't think, really formed a leadership yet as
Mhm.
far as that goes. Let's see if I got it here. What is the date? No, that's an old one.
Is the shelter gonna be ADA accessible?
Yeah, I'm sure that they're going.
It'll have to be.
They're gonna have to be.
It'll have to be by law.
There's
I
no
would hope
choice
so,
in.
but because it's a church, it doesn't have to be.
Well, yes and no. I mean, they're exempt from that. You're right, but this is a church that's going to, have a shelter. So I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
that they're
agree.
going.
It needs to be.
Yeah, I have the plans on that too at my shop, but I'm positive it has ADA accessibility on that.
Yeah, there's a little lady down at the Rayleigh's shopping mart, and she lost her leg, she's in a wheelchair. And she said, I've been waiting for it to open. I said, you have nowhere to go? No, she said, I don't.
Well,
I
and
felt
that's-
so bad for her.
And that's what's hard right now is because it has been getting cold and there's no place for them to go. Ashland, that's the only thing we could say right now is Ashland
Yeah,
has
'cause
opened up
she's got a
theirs.
dog and a cat.
So that's where, right now, where we have to send them to, unfortunately. Other than that, the construction on the new Yreka motors, that's really getting erected
Good.
fast. You can start seeing some positive form on that now. And it's like, that's gonna be a big building. That thing is huge.
You can see the mezzanine now for the offices.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah,
nice.
looks nice.
It's gonna be real nice.
And they're actually going to move their cars next door onto the trust, Marcos Ramos,
right,
on that property.
right.
They're gonna just move they were gonna move them over near the PD on that lot, but now they've struck a deal so they keep them real close.
Oh,
And then as
that's
soon as they
great.
can start moving into that building, move the cars and then rip down the other building and
Perfect.
get it asphalted.
Oh, that's great. That keeps it nice and close for them.
He's got a real, he's moving.
He's moving right along.
The owner, he
man.
knows what he wants, so.
Yeah, that's great. Well, other than that, I think that's all I have. So meeting